Yeah.
I never skipped a satsang, never ever, flew or not. Yeah.
Did your mind not explain that as being in love with this guy?
No. The meeting was so was of another realm. Where I met him was of another realm. I never felt I loved him like nobody else.
Mm-hmm.
And I was married. I loved my husband too, you know. And I loved my children. My children were very, very young then. But this was of another world, this love. So everything in a togetherness with an awakened being is of another world. And that was very clear to me from the first moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Never.
No. When Aleksandr passed away, did you cry?
No. But I have always loved him like nobody else.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very, very close to him. And for 10 years or so. I miss him sometimes. And I have these sweet memories of him. He saved my life. Yeah, so grateful.
You don't think that this would have crossed your path if you didn't meet Aleksandr? Would you become a medical student again and stayed married and...
Oh, much worse than that.
Yeah?
Yeah. I was really desperate. Because as I said, you know, I knew from so long that nothing would fulfill me. And that was very painful to acknowledge. Because there's nowhere to go.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing to strive for.
Yeah.
You know, even the story of Lord Buddha is so beautiful. He was a prince, expected to be a king. And he was married to the most beautiful girl. And he had a beautiful son. But the moment he saw, he was leaving his kingdom.
Yeah.
He was leaving his son, he was leaving his wife. And that shows that he had everything, but nothing was enough for him.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a kingdom, but nothing was enough for me.
Yeah.
Nothing. So that's extremely painful. Yeah.
Did your parents not react like most parents do? They say, well, come on, count your blessings.
Yeah, you are so dissatisfied.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't say that, but my friend said, you are so dissatisfied and you are spoiling your life. You had all these possibilities. You're just throwing it away and like that, yeah. But they had no inkling. Not really, no. She's doing something with this strange man and she's going to courses and yeah.
There's this song by the Irish group U2. I still haven't found what I'm looking for. When you're talking about this stuff and you hear music, so you often hear that cry for freedom or that cry.
Exactly. It's in everybody's heart.
Yeah.
More or less covered up.
Yeah. And some people go to cocaine or some people travel all the world.
Yeah.
And
that's the thing now. Most people want new experiences. This is what is going on now. Most people want new experiences, so they come to a satsang here, then they go to Hawaii, and they go to ayahuasca, and then, you know, new experiences. That is now very fashionable.
And that's not?
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, new experiences.
And this can't be found in an experience?
Ultimately not. Ultimately not. No, an experience is by definition framed in time and space.
Comes and goes.
Yeah, comes and goes. So this freedom is the realm of changelessness, ultimate freedom, and has no point of reference. Yeah.
So stop saying to yourself that if I can cross off everything on my bucket list, then I will be satisfied.
Postponing.
Yeah.
Postponing and running away from the treasure that is hiding right here, right now.
Yeah. But is it then so intimate that we look over it? Is it so close by?
Yeah, exactly. It is too close, too immediate, too simple.
Yeah.
Something like that. We always believe in problems. We always want to solve a problem. We always want to do something. We want to fix.
Yeah.
We want to attain. We want our steps, you know, and usually it takes a while before all of that is exhausted, you know, that you see nothing works. I've traveled the world. I've done my courses, my trainings, all of that. Nothing works. A lover doesn't even work. Chocolate doesn't even work. Nothing works.
Yeah. What now?
What now?
Yeah.
Be still. Relax. Yeah.
It sounds so simple.
It is simple.
And
It's
so
very, very simple.
So effortless.
Exactly. Yeah, it is it. It is like that.
It doesn't need a big investment like 10,000 euros or...
No, nothing. This is the road from nothing to nothing.
Yeah.
You know, no money, no effort, no age, no education, nothing. It is already your home. You run away in search of yourself.
Yeah. Every day again and again.
Every day again and again, until you're so fed up.
Yeah. And can maybe illness be of help?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, anything that's falling apart, or maybe even success.
Yeah.
People run after success, and then they have success, and they say, "Well, now what?"
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It reminds me of another disciple of Aleksandr, Jan Voudrene, a Dutch psychiatrist,
Yeah.
who also said that if everything in the world you tried failed and didn't bring you that which you hoped for, then things get interesting.
Yeah, exactly. When people crash, now what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you ready now? You apparently needed to crash. Okay, so be it.
Yeah.
Are you ready now? Yeah. Or are you going in the same boat? So be aware, be awake, and see the mechanisms.
Yeah.
So I didn't waver. It was my nature not to waver.
Yeah.
It was my nature to quickly see and acknowledge the road to freedom. Yeah, and Aleksandr helped me with that.
Yeah.
And later Papaji and Shanti Mai too. Yeah.
And how come you didn't fall into the trap of making spirituality your new nature, your new fabricated home with see what I already have known or did or read or visited?
I don't know.
No.
I remember that when I was a child, sometimes you have this question, when you are big, what do you want to be?
Mm-hmm.
And there were two words. One was the word disciple. I didn't even know what it meant, but it was something, I didn't dare to speak it. It was so intimate, but it was hiding in me. The word disciple, and the other one was nobody. I thought, wow, that must be so free, to be nobody, to be somebody. Oh, it looks to me quite a burden. You have to build that every day again, to be somebody. Oh my God. But I thought, to be nobody, you know, you can be everywhere.
Yeah.
So I already had this taste. And later I found out what it meant. And then later I found out, yeah, indeed it is like that.
Yeah. Mr. Nobody, Mr. and Mrs. Nobody.
Yeah, Mr. is so free.
Yeah.
You know?
You could be anything.
Yeah, you can, yeah. So you can pop up everywhere.
Yeah.
You can hang out with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's so free.
But isn't it a burden for you now that people see you as a teacher or as the awakened one, or?
No, I don't feel burdened. No, not at all. And I don't see myself as anything. You know, we play this beautiful situation of me expressing myself and people being thirsty for it. So this is our dance together. Yeah. And it is very precious and very beautiful. But I don't see myself as the guru. It's rather, I don't know. Yeah. I have no identity really. Yeah.
Last time we spoke in Dutch, I think I remember I asked you What about a book?
What about a book?
Yeah. Now we're 2 years
It's
later.
ready.
It's ready.
It's ready.
Also in English?
No, in Dutch.
In Dutch.
So it's ready. In a couple of days it will go to the publisher. Yeah.
What's it called?
I can't say. It's still a secret.
Okay.
I will invite you when it is out.
Oh, there. Okay.
Yeah.
And people can order it through your website, I guess?
I will. I have contact with the publisher.
Okay.
So
it's still fresh.
It's very fresh.
Yeah.
It's still in my computer.
Oh.
But it's a matter of days.
Oh, great.
And then it will go to the publisher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe when you watch this in half a year, it's available all over the place.
It should be in the bookshops, but I don't know yet if the publisher really likes it.
Yeah.
So we have to see. Yeah.
And is it a collection of meetings, or is it your personal
It's a very
story?
traditional question and answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also some stories. Yeah.
Yeah. And can this be captured in a book?
Again, it's a flavor.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like mystic poetry. Yeah. It can never be captured anywhere. Yeah.
Because it is everywhere.
Yeah, it is everywhere, and it cannot be. The mystery cannot be defined.
Yeah. And divided.
And it cannot be divided. No. So again, these are all pointers. Yeah. One of the books of Nisargadatta was called Pointers, and that's very accurate.
Yeah. The finger pointing to the moon.
Right.
People say.
Right. And people insist on looking at the finger.
And not to what it's pointing.
And not to what it's pointing at. Yeah.
So you are also a pointer.
Yes. Or I called myself last night an alarm clock.
Alarm clock.
Yeah, like ring, 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 wake up.
Yeah.
Or like we had our little conversation, this image of a bridge. I'm a bridge. Or a spiritual friend at your side.
Yeah. In the movie The Matrix, they had the phone booth, where you can pick up the phone and hear truth, or was when people come to meetings with you, that's a whole other thing than reading a book, I guess, because I sit in front of you, and maybe I tell my life story, or I ask questions, and your response is not to the group as a whole, but
it's very precise to a particular one.
Yeah.
So that it can be different for everyone.
Yeah.
Many of the people who come to satsang I know very well. So I may answer one on a very different level than another one, or even completely the opposite. I will answer to one as to another. Yeah.
Isn't that tiring for you? You have to remember all this stuff. Oh, that's him with
No,
his...
I don't remember anything.
No,
I don't remember. But when people ask something, then it is obvious to me. Yeah. So I can just show them a bigger perspective, so that they can see for themselves.
Yeah. So let's say I'm sitting in front of you at a meeting, and I say to you, what's this problem I have with eating, with my weight? I know that food is for me comfort, it is love, it is against boredom, it is lots of things.
So you already give the answer in the question.
Yeah. And I know it for myself. I see myself doing it. I see myself eating this big bowl of spaghetti when half was enough.
Exactly, when half was filling up the hole in the heart, filling up.
But not every evening. Sometimes everything is fulfilling, but sometimes I feel
it is
urge.
not.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
And we rather fill it up with eating or smoking or drinking or sex or football. Fill it up, then sit and experience it completely. And this is the ultimate invitation. Sit and experience without comment. Without any conclusion, you just allow it. This feeling.
Should I skip my evening meal? When I feel hungry, should you just be hungry or be with the hunger? Or is that too much of a...
You ask for strategies.
Yeah.
I think it is a profound decision It comes down to a profound decision.
Yeah.
Like, I know there's something better.
Yeah.
Am I investing in that fully and totally? And then the need for filling up will just dissolve. It will fade away.
Yeah.
Most of the time. Aleksandr was coffee eating, you know, a lot.
Cakes.
Yeah. So there is not a rule written in stone. But most of the time it will relax.
Yeah.
But there are many awakened people who indulge in sexuality, and many who has become meaningless to them.
Yeah.
So it can be anything. But usually it starts with a firm decision. I don't want this anymore. I know there's something better. I go for it. Yeah, that's a decision somehow. And that decision is a decision to live along the line of truth. And that truth is your boss. And that you're willing to listen and to receive and to act accordingly. You know, it's a willingness, a profound willingness and a profound urge and love for the best life, you know, most shiny life.
Yeah. A colleague of yours, Giovanni, also a disciple of Shanti Mai, once said, "This is the quality of your being. Don't settle for less."
Yeah.
That's what you're pointing at also.
Exactly.
Quality of being.
Exactly. Yeah, and you know what is possible. And that is always fascinating to me, when people know what is possible and the next moment turn their back.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by that.
Why do we settle for less?
Yeah. Again, fear. Fear is always the great big thing. And again, people don't want to be disturbed in their comfort. Don't disturb me. Yeah. So they live in this cocoon of belief systems and comfort. Yeah.
Do I maybe think I'm unworthy of?
Can be.
And I think, well, that's not.
Yeah, not for me.
No.
Can be. Yeah. But there is something in you that knows better.
Yeah.
And are you, again, willing to listen to this depth? What knows? This is only a protective statement. Yeah, an excuse.
Yeah. Could it be laziness? That I think, well, another lifetime. I'm content with this coffee.
Yeah, we can give lots of reasons. We can also say, well, it can be captured by the word maturity. By the word maturity.
Yeah.
Can be captured by that word.
And why? Maturity?
Yeah, maturity to have this unwavering willingness, or to hide in excuses.
Yeah. Yeah.
Spiritual maturity. Yeah, and many children nowadays are very mature. And many elderly people are very immature.
Very childish. Yeah.
Childish, yeah.
Still want their needs fulfilled.
Yeah, exactly.
Right now.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. For me, a good test is I'm hungry. I'm thinking, okay, I could go to this place and have to wait for half an hour and then get a delicious meal. Or I drive through McDonald's and get it in 5 minutes and I eat it, and after 10 minutes I feel terrible, and after 1 hour I'm hungry again.
Yeah, and angry.
Angry at yourself.
Angry at yourself. I've done it again.
I did it again.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And you deal with the consequences of your actions and of your choices. We all do. I deal with the consequences and the actions of my choices. We all do.
Yeah.
And many people nowadays get fed up. I don't want to live on this frequency anymore. And to hang out with people who are negative, who are complaining, I don't want it anymore.
Yeah.
I want this shine in my life.
It takes courage.
It takes courage, and we all have it. Yeah.
But it's handy to have someone like you who tells you...
Empowers you.
Empowers you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Empowers you.
Gives you faith?
Confidence.
Confidence.
Trust.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's then again up to you whether you want it or not, you know. You can also sit at satsang like that. Who the hell do you think you are?
Yeah, how does she know?
Yeah, how does she know? Pfft, you can sit like that.
Yeah.
It's all up to you.
Yeah.
What do you want? What do you really, really, really want from life?
Yeah.
It tells you quickly. Yeah.
That's a good question to start.
It's an excellent question to start. What do you really want from life?
Yeah.
And the so-called guru doesn't want anything. The guru is already happy and fulfilled.
Yeah.
You know.
So
I don't need anything from anybody. I'm fine.
Not on a mission to awaken everybody.
No.
No. No. And still you do.
And still I do.
Yeah.
But it is because of the... Well, first of all, my gurus push me. And now it is because the people long. It is by their longing that the words come.
Mm.
When the longing is... Yeah, like that. When the longing is not there, I zap.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing moving in me. Nothing. Yeah.
So right now I'm pulling these words out of you.
Right. Yeah.
And slurping them.
Yeah, it's the longing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I reflect a little bit on this mission thing. Because there is a love somehow in action, you know, to show.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And you demonstrated that again for the last hour. Thank you very much. Looking forward to your book, maybe in English in a couple.
It will come.
Yeah, it will come.
Yeah.
The website is prajnaparamita.nl.
Right.
There's also your agenda. People can come to France to visit you, and a couple of times a year here in...
Many times.
Many
I'm
times,
here
yeah.
every 6 weeks, and I give lots of satsangs, and every time a satsang weekend also. That's very intense.
In Baren.
In Baren.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for people who come from other countries, in Baren you speak in English also.
Yeah.
Whole weekend or just...
The whole weekend.
Yeah.
English.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Dutch people find that limiting, then we communicate in Dutch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's fine.
Yeah. And every age.
Every age.
You say even children come to visit you.
Yeah.
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 And you told me a beautiful quote at the kitchen table. Why do children, or what do children say when they come to a meeting with you?
One child said, "Why does my heart feel so warm?" And I said, a 7-year-old girl, and I said, "Because the sun is shining in your heart." Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're most welcome. Thank you.
Sitting here with Michael. Michael Damien, I hope I pronounce your last name right.
You did.
Okay. You've been to the Netherlands before. No, it's not your first time here.
Yeah, I've been here several times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it about Holland that brings you here so often?
Well, I studied here as a student in college, and of course, because there's a lot of English spoken, that made it easier. And I have some ancestors from here, and then I made some friends, and I got an invitation to do some satsangs. So I came, and the communities were very open, very interested in spirituality. So I love to come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you have any explanation why the message of non-duality is so, let's say, people respond to it so well here in Holland?
I think Holland as a society is very well developed. I think there's a philosophical and cultural basis that is here, that is not in every country necessarily. And so I think the people have a more inward, personal focus on spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get into that inner layer or inner attitude, then you're really getting down to business. You're getting into the core questions of suffering versus happiness. So I think Holland and maybe other parts of Western Europe are very free thinking,
Mm-hmm.
and non-duality is free thinking par excellence. So it's about freedom, exactly, and it's very philosophical, but it's also involves your heart. It involves your feelings too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your whole being.
Your whole being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You come from California?
I'm from New England originally, but I've been living in California for 15 years, so now I'm Californian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never been there, but people tell me that's almost the same over there. That there's also a big non-duality community, a lot of satsangs going on.
Yeah.
Any more similarities?
California is the Netherlands of America.
Yeah.
In that it's the most liberal. It's very tolerant. It's the place where dreamers go. It's a place where differences are very celebrated. Independent thinking, untraditional thinking, or less traditional. Everyone, the 60s human potential movement started in California. So it's got the whole culture there of inner growth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So back home you do a lot of meetings also?
Yeah, I work with people. I have regular groups there that people can regularly come and keep deepening. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because this isn't a message that you hear once and then think, well, let's go on with my life. I now heard it. How do you see it?
It takes... You can go to 100 satsangs and hear it 100 times from different people, but even that isn't really enough. You have to... It helps to work with maybe one teacher for at least for a while, and really build a relationship with the teachings, so that you're living them, so that it can be totally digested and realized. So I emphasize the relationship between the teacher and the student. Although I don't think of people as students, let's say, but relatively speaking, it's someone who's trying to learn this knowledge. And they have to... There are so many obstacles and confusions that keep coming up again and again and again.
Mm-hmm.
So it really helps to have a guide, an experienced guide, who knows the terrain and knows you, and who you trust. So that teaching and guidance is done in a context of friendship, but it's just a little different type of friendship.
It almost sounds like therapy, a kind of therapy.
It is. I am a therapist as well, but the spiritual work is a little different. Yeah, of course.
Do you still emphasize on the story? Let's say I come to you and I tell you, well, my life is one big mess. Do you then immediately start telling me that my life story has nothing to do with me, or do you go into the story, or how does that work?
The teaching that you're not your story and that you're living in an illusion is given on different levels depending on the person. Otherwise I would just be a parrot who's just parroting back the truth. So the big picture fact that this mess has been created by illusions, that has to be introduced, yes, but then I have to help you to see how that was created. What are the illusions? It doesn't work for me to just tell you it's an illusion, it doesn't matter, because you're in the middle of it and you're identifying with it.
Yeah, for me it's real.
For you, it's absolutely real. So there's a respect for that. That's your experience. It's not the truth, but it's your experience, and we're going to show you with the teachings exactly how to change that, and I will show you exactly how, and it will happen. So
it almost sounds like a microsurgery, a very delicate way of.
That's right. It's a very direct path that I teach, but that doesn't mean you hit people over the head with a hammer.
Mm-hmm.
You see, there are no shortcuts really, because the person has to navigate and take in the teachings according to their ability, and each person has a different capacity or readiness to comprehend
Mm-hmm.
and to open. So it's depending on each individual mind, let's say.
It brings up a subject, I guess. Could it be dangerous for people to just watch YouTube videos all the time and repeating the mantras of Advaita to themselves? That doesn't solve anything, or does it?
Well, I have to agree with you. It's very limited when you're just taking in different teachings, because teachers use words differently.
Mm-hmm.
And you're absorbing different mantras, but there's a context in which the mantra has a meaning and needs to be applied, and then it has to be elaborated and understood fully in your life. So, yes, many seekers are taking in mantras, and they're repeating them, but unfortunately that's not enough.
Yeah, I'm just reminding myself if that is not what I'm doing for the last 5 or 10 years. I don't know. It could be.
Well, I work with seekers who have been hearing the mantras and repeating them, and they've even been doing mantra meditation, let's say, for 40 years.
Yeah.
But they don't realize the truth, because what they lack is sustained contact with a teacher.
Yeah.
And that's more powerful, to get your particular questions answered and get into the living teaching. And so if that's not happening, all you're doing is you're clinging to the spiritual ideas, which it's probably better that you cling to those than to cling to drugs or something.
Yeah.
But it's not going to do it.
No.
The question is how. How is that mantra true? How do you realize it for yourself? So, yeah.
But then I'm thinking, well, it's a universal truth. Every teacher is talking about. Why would it not apply to you and me and everybody on the street?
It does apply, but do you realize it?
Yeah.
You can have the intuition that it's a universal truth.
Yeah.
And that intuition is good intuition. But how do you realize it? And for that, your intellect and your discernment and your insight has to be very sharp. It has to be subtle. You have to develop a subtle mind. The seeker is not trying to become consciousness, right? You already are. So you sense that universal truth. You are consciousness. Everything is consciousness. We can call it other things too. But then the question is, how do you fully? What people say is, I sense that, and I maybe tasted that, but how do I fully live in it permanently?
Yeah.
And the thing is, what's stopping you from realizing and living that and knowing that that is the fact all the time is that the mind is still harboring false beliefs and distortions. There are many different distortions, subtle. And because of those distortions, it seems like a cloud that's blocking the sun again and again and again.
Yeah.
And so the trick is to get in subtler and subtler and clear out the the ignorance. See, the ignorance that we have effectively blocks what already is. So we're not trying to become what we already are. We're trying to strip away that ignorance, and that's the microsurgery. That's when. So you come to the teacher for the microsurgery and the particular medicine that you need. So we were talking about, I say things to people in a certain moment.
Yeah.
That just unlocks doors. And that's something you cannot get from a mantra. I'll say one thing to one person and something else to someone else, and it's totally different and it's totally unique to the moment. And that comes from, emptiness wisdom.
Yeah.
So that's what you need to be in that direct contact then to do the microsurgery. Otherwise, what happens? You have them. If you cling to those ideas only, yes, you have a more spiritual life. You have a little more insight, but you always remain in that duality. You still haven't closed the gap.
Yeah. So it's like the onion. You peel off the things of the onion until nothing remains, or what does remain when you start? You say the sun and you remove the clouds, but will clouds appear again?
Clouds in this respect means ignorance,
Mm-hmm.
and know that ignorance doesn't appear again. Thoughts continue, feelings continue, but that's not the same as ignorance. So clouds means fundamental belief in separation, fundamental negativities that do block your awareness of the truth, that do block your nature as unconditional love and unconditioned awareness.
Yeah.
So when that is deeply stripped away and seen through by the light that you are, I call it consciousness, then it cannot appear again. So you may have heard the idea, well, you've had an awakening, but now you need to keep awakening in every moment, or that was just a memory, forget it, or something like that. But really, that's not awakening then. That's not a real realization. The realization doesn't leave you ever. It's forever. It's eternal. And it's a complete, timeless knowing when it comes. Before that is all little glimpses, and I experienced that, and we were saying I had an awakening, then I had another awakening. Well, how many awakenings do you have to have before you're awake? So that wasn't the awakening, really. Yeah. So once that real insight has hit home, the non-dual insight, it is absolutely clear all the time, because it's not based in time, it's timeless. It just has to be clear and deep enough. Yeah.
And what do you think about teachers who tell me, well, everybody is already awakened, enlightened, it's just the belief in the thought that you are not that keeps you away from being awakened, enlightened?
Well, it's absolutely true that that's one of the deepest core beliefs, that blocks your awareness of it. But the question is, and it's absolutely true that everyone is the light of being or consciousness. But the question is, how do you help people to realize that for themselves? Yes, you can say it's your belief that you're not. That's true. That's right there at the core of it.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to show or help the person to cut through that belief.
Yeah.
And if you are only saying that it's true, but you don't work with people, then you're not really teaching, you're just preaching a truth.
Yeah.
So I like to say I'm not a preacher, I'm more of a teacher.
to do it to know it yourself. You're not giving knowledge. You're awakening knowledge within.
Yeah, it's guiding people. It's mentoring. It's not as I'm the teacher, but it's working intimately with the person. That's teaching. That's called teaching.
Yeah.
The thing that you help the person to do, speaking of traditional teaching, is it all comes down to discernment.
What's this word?
Discernment, clarity.
Okay.
Yeah, slicing the true from the false, the knower from the known. It's the sword of prajna, they call it in Buddhism. And it's, you are already the light, but you tell yourself you're not.
Mm-hmm.
So the way to realize that is to constantly discern between that which is real, the conscious, the observer, and the apparent. And that's a very demanding task, to constantly develop that, so that you stop identifying with emotions, so that you stop thinking that it's a problem with your chakras to solve, or because that's all energy. You're before the energy. But if people don't know how to observe, and they can't meditate because they're so restless, then that insight will not
hit home. Yeah. So A Course in Miracles. It's the big blue book.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had it on my next to my bed for let's say a year, and every time I looked at it, it went like, oh! I opened it, I read a few pages, and I put it back again. What is it that makes this book so powerful?
I don't know. The book itself is a miracle. It came to someone who was like an atheist.
Mm-hmm.
It's a powerful book. It's pointing very strongly to your nature as not just that everything is one, but we can say the universe is one, and the table and the cup are one, and all that.
Yeah.
But the deeper question is, what are you? And the Course tells you that you are eternal spirit, that you are the spiritual light, this intelligence that is forever. And I emphasize that aspect as well, that you exist as this spiritual intelligence. But that doesn't mean you're a separate self. That is the self with a capital S, in which there is no separate self. We experience that universality. And the Course is putting a very strong focus on your responsibility, your ability to manage your thoughts and to watch your thoughts and take total responsibility for your thinking. Because that's the deepest level of your being, is the thought level, the belief level.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the Course was called a Christian Vedanta. Because Vedanta is saying, and so is Zen and so is Sufi, they're all saying this, that the level of belief and identity and thought is the core to, closest to home to work with. And until you get on that level, and you're just trying to change your energy from the outside in, or your emotions. But that's not it. It's really going down to the core.
Yeah. It's not an easy job, I can imagine. Or is it?
Because you have to. It depends on the person. It depends on how ready you are.
Yeah.
If you're absolutely desperate for truth, then you find it easy to surrender the false. So hard and easy are relative to the person's mind state. It's easy to awaken if you're ready to awaken. But that being said, most people find it hard what the Course is telling them to do. Constant forgiveness, constant humility, extending love as Christ did, and really facing the illusions of death and accepting the reality of God. You know, people don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Even non-dualists don't want to accept that there is God.
It's a bridge too far.
Yeah. They want, it's almost too, so there's a lot of nihilism in the ego, in the mind of ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
It wants to believe in nothing and have no responsibility.
Yeah.
And just not to exist anymore. So if a certain non-dual teaching has a little bit that flavor that nothing matters.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you happen to kill someone today, that's fine.
Yeah. Nobody was there anyway.
Yeah. Right. No, but that's not true, because the world, there's a moral law in you. There's a spiritual love and light in you that you are. So when you break those laws, you experience the consequence, which the Course calls hell or heaven. And, we don't have a choice as to, I can't not be this spiritual being that I am.
Mm-hmm.
But non-duality seems to tell people that you don't have to be anything. Especially that you don't have to be intelligent.
Yeah. Everything just happens as it happens. And all those other dogmas. I think they call it the Advaita shuffle.
Well, everything's happening, yes, but everything's happening for reasons to do with your own ignorance or wisdom. So it doesn't do me any good just to say, well, it's just happening that I hit my child or...
So you have to be very alert to what is going on in your life, circumstances, people you meet.
Before you realize the divine will or the greater will of things, you have to take responsibility as if, I'm responsible. Even though I have a limited identity, and I have a limited understanding of the greater will, I have to first take responsibility.
The ability to respond, someone once explained to me.
Yeah.
But let's say I'm walking in nature and I suddenly see an elderly woman fall into the water. I don't have to think about what my response will be. I just respond. I just jump in the water and try to save the woman.
Yeah.
Is that then the divine will working through me or as me? Or we all know those kind of moments where you don't think about what you do, you just act.
Your will is the divine will, yeah.
Always.
That divine will is also, it's another word for the intelligence that you are. The responsiveness, the sensitivity, which is love as well. So
let's say me doing those interviews, which don't bring me any money and takes a lot of time, and it feels great doing it. Is that a sign that, well, this is just my thing to do?
Yeah, when it feels great, that is a sign.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you don't think about what time it costs or money or investment.
Because you've been through doing things just to do them, or it was a good job. Now there's a higher inner reason, and so that's exactly right for you.
And how is that for you? Because I understood that you have your PhD in psychology. You could start working as a psychologist and start earning the big bucks, I don't know, but with a fair amount of income, I guess. But instead you choose to come to Holland and to talk to people, which doesn't bring, I can imagine, a big fortune to your bank account.
I do both, actually. I do practice psychology, so... neither one of those is really bringing the big bucks. I'm not, I'm not bent on that.
No.
Yeah, I'd rather have a more balanced life. Yeah, but the teaching is something that comes to you, that You just have to do it. You enjoy to do it.
I once heard a teacher tell me that, well, it's not always a blessing. It's something that gets thrown into your lap, and here, deal with it.
It's true. It's true. Yeah. Yeah. It's not always easy.
No.
And there's different ways to do it as well. So.
You also do one-on-one sessions with people through Skype.
Mm-hmm.
And how long does such a path take? Is it a half a year, a year? Can you put a amount of time on it so I know when I'm ready?
It depends on the person. It depends on what they're ready for. Some people are closer than they think. They're more ready than they may think.
Yeah.
Lightning can strike at any time, of course, so it's hard to say. But some people need to work more on their foundation, on their maybe they're totally immersed in false thinking and dramas, and they need a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that takes a while.
And does it help if I, let's say, read your book and then the other big books by Nisargadatta and that? And could you say then, well, he's ready for it?
It helps. Yeah, it really helps because you're acquainting with the teachings have a certain flavor, have a certain medicine in them, and sitting and reading at your own pace that really builds the ground for it. Yeah. So I recommend it highly. Yeah.
The Art of Freedom: A Guide to Awakening is your the book that is being officially released in November of this year.
Yes.
And there are some teachers, Michael, who tell me without crisis, no awakening. Do you agree with that? And if so, what was your big crisis then?
Not everyone goes through an exact crisis. Some are more coming on a smooth path. So mine was a little more smooth because I was a lifelong spiritual seeker.
Yeah.
So I was kind of moving like along the staircase, so to speak. I was in school for psychology, and I became more and more interested in absolute truth and freedom and awakening, whatever that might be.
Mm-hmm.
So there came a point, and this does happen to people who are on that path, that I couldn't maintain the identity project, the false identity project. I didn't have that interest. So it's a kind of crisis in that you cannot believe in the future that you might have once believed in. And in my case, I let go of certain social relationships and distractions. It's a crisis. It's an inner crisis where you have to understand that nothing in the world is going to fulfill you. And that's a crisis for everyone.
Yeah.
But it's a crisis that leads to then the rebirth. Yeah.
But do you still have to try out all those things? Because I can say I know that it's not into the big bucks and in the big car and a lot of attention from women.
Mm-hmm. Do you have to do it all? No.
No.
No. You go. You will do it all if you still don't really understand. But like in my case and in other people's experience, you reach a point where you know that's true before you maybe did some of it. Now you at a certain point you have enough insight and you know it's not going to work.
Yeah.
So then the spiritual urge and interest it's stronger than the other, and then you don't have to go through all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It still can happen. Do you still buy, let's say, a $500 watch or go on a vacation with a 5-star hotel in believing that is going to fulfill you?
No, I do. I would buy that $500 watch and go to that hotel knowing that I will enjoy it just for what it is, nothing more.
Yeah.
I mean, it has nothing to do with that's not spiritual. It's just, do you know that it will not fulfill you? Or is it part of your identity project? Then it's not gonna, it's really gonna be a disappointment. But once you're free, you can enjoy, anything.
Yeah. But is there still a need then to...
No.
No, there's no need.
No, there's no need for it.
No, I can
You take it with equanimity. You take it with... It's fun.
Yeah. Okay. I have some more dogmas from the Advaita world I want to hold on to you, because that's the thing I'm mostly anti-interview with. But let's say people tell me the world is an illusion, and someone comes to you and says, well, the world is an illusion. The only thing that's real is my presence here. You know, we both followed Eckhart Tolle a lot. We can talk about that maybe later on. But this world being an illusion, what does that say to me, and can it help me?
It can help you. It's part of other teachings too, though. You know, that has to be unpacked. That's a big statement. What is the illusion? The illusion is that the world exists separately from me, and that that reality is matter or solid stuff.
Yeah.
That's the illusion. That's the sense in which the world is an illusion. So that has to be understood. In what way is that an illusion? But sometimes people think that, and they think that means also that I am entirely an illusion myself. But no, you are real. You are consciousness or spirit.
You do not mean the body. You mean that
the body. I mean the formless. Formless. But the body's just it's just an expression of that. It's just an appearance within that, and it's a vehicle of that. So it's not separate. It's not like it exists separately from spirit. But in and of itself, a body is not, existing. It exists. It depends upon consciousness, whereas consciousness does not depend upon the body or the world. So in that sense, the world is an illusion.
That's a great insight you tell me, because when someone faints or someone dies, you know what this. You just see what this body is. It doesn't. It decays. It just vanishes. So there must be something that makes this body come alive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a divine intelligence, and you're here experiencing it for a reason.
And that reason is different for all and everybody, or is it just the one reason?
Pretty much the one reason, but everyone's having a little different twist on that. Yeah, depending their obstacles. So the one reason is because you need to realize your real nature. You need to realize that more fully, completely, clearly. And then everyone has a little different blockage to that, a little different road to that. Yeah. But all roads lead to Rome. Yeah.
And it really sounds also very, how do you call it, equal. That it doesn't matter if you're from the slums of India or from the upper class of Amsterdam.
Yeah.
We all have this path.
Yeah, it's really the same. We're all going to the same place.
Yeah. Other thing which is mentioned a lot, of course, I can imagine you get a lot of questions from it, is the ego. Is the ego some people tell me the ego is the big bad wolf. Some people tell me the ego doesn't exist. Some people tell me the ego is only exists because you believe in it. You're a psychologist, so I must know you know a lot about the ego.
Well, psychologists have 100 different definitions of ego too. But the way I would put it is, ego, generally people mean that's your false self, that's your false identity.
The image.
Yeah, the image. But when you use, the way we use the word ego can be confusing. So the way I put it is that you are consciousness, you have a mind or an intellect that thinks. Mm-hmm. You can think by using that intellect. You can believe in false thoughts and create a false identity. I don't refer to that as ego. I just call it ignorance. It's just a false idea. So, but when people personalize the ego, then they start saying, well, my ego wants this, my ego wants that, my ego is doing that. Well, then you're making it as if it's a separate thing, like a demon inside of you.
An entity.
An entity. And that does not exist. But if someone, for example, Eckhart Tolle says the ego is your false identity, that's very simple. But usually people start then thinking, I'm split into my real self and my ego.
Yeah.
And that's just confusing the issue more. I think of it more in terms of reality and illusion. Your real nature and ignorance.
Yeah. Funny you mention Eckhart, because that's what I picked up from him. He talks about the ego and he puts on a little face like this. He goes like this little gremlin inside of me. And he also talks about the pain body, and he says the pain body and the ego work together to... It's almost like you have an alien inside of you.
But it's all the same thing, and it's not a person or a force. It's just something that operates in a seemingly autonomous way when it's there.
Yeah.
But it's thoughts. It's just based in beliefs. So seekers need to come to grip. First, they maybe acknowledge that they have this gremlin or ego. Mm-hmm. Then they start to understand the real inner dynamics of it's false beliefs that then I act on those, and there's then these create these urges and mistaken desires and bad decisions and negativities and terrible moods. But you have to realize it's not something else called an ego that's doing that. It's simply your ignorance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Adida once said, "Ego, it's not an entity; it's an activity."
It's a process.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah.
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 Anything else you picked up from Eckhart, which you say, well, that was for me very clear? And
Eckhart, what I like about his teaching, and his teaching was one of the first for me as well, that made a big impact. He says that you are conscious presence, you are the observer. And that's, I like the simplicity and clarity of that, because you are that presence. And that intelligence is here. It is you. Whereas some people, when they learn about observing, then they're saying, but now I have to go beyond the observer. Now I have to go beyond consciousness and become nothing or the absolute or something. And that's just really adding, to me, too much complexity and confusion to it. Because the fact is, you can't go beyond consciousness. It is the absolute, as I use it.
Yeah.
Consciousness is not your ego. It's the intelligence by which you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Eckhart kept that very simple as well.
You ever met him or been to one of his talks?
I've been to one of his weekend seminars. Yeah.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to interview him. When I met him already in the hallway of the hotel, this one big light came into the room. You know, it's so very, like a walking sun. Yeah. You almost have to put on sunglasses when you see him.
Yeah.
You had that same experience when you saw him live?
He was up on a stage. No, I didn't have exactly that experience, but my life was illuminated by hearing his book as I was driving in a car, and I was changing. My understanding at the deepest level was changing as I drove, and that was opening the energy already. So
great.
That was really like a darshan there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the audiobook of The Power of Now.
The Power of Now.
Yeah. He also did some talks with Oprah Winfrey.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's nice to see that he reaches a big audience.
Yeah.
Yeah. So ever planning on doing stuff like that? Maybe something on TV or radio or...
Who knows?
Yeah.
I go where I'm asked to go if it seems reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is this something you think you're going to do for the rest of your life? Is this something you get like almost contaminated with, like after nuclear war? There's There's all atomic stuff in the air. Can you get rid of this knowing? Or
No.
is it, no.
No.
You don't
can't
want
get
to.
rid of it.
No.
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 No, it's forever. It's totally there. I mean, you can be born with it.
Bored.
Born with it.
Not bored. Born
with it.
Yeah.
You can be. I was born with it as well to a certain extent. So you can never change this knowing that awakens in you. It's there. But for me, there's no missionary zeal about it. It's really, that is totally gone. That's more a symptom of the initial awakening.
Yeah.
There's a kind of extreme excitement and bliss.
You're in love.
You understand it was, it's so powerful. It's a great discovery. So, but the missionary, zeal to bring it to people and deliver it on their doorstep is no longer there. I mean, it's really letting people come to you, and I don't worry about the world or anything like that.
No.
Yeah. So
How does it influence your work as a psychologist? I once heard of someone who says, well, psychology, it's just taking like taking aspirin when you're standing on your own foot.
No, that's too simplistic. It depends on the level of wisdom in the therapist. If the therapist has a lot of wisdom of awakening, then there are many tools then that function within the intelligence of consciousness that become even more powerful, more skillful, more effective. You can really share and open the beauty and love in someone. So it totally depends on the person. The assumption in the non-dual world seems to be that every therapist is not enlightened. Well, why assume that? Why? That's not reasonable.
Yeah.
If the therapist is realizing, knowing that truth, then it becomes more powerful. And there are also many practical relationship and world issues that there are ways of working with that are very helpful, even if you aren't awakened. So it is helpful on its own level.
Yeah. I don't think we have used the word love already. Maybe in a sentence, but how is a love relationship to you? Are you in love with all and everything, or is there that special someone which you say, well, that's love, that is love which became flesh?
Yeah. The love is really of the self for the self, or the soul for the soul, for that which is one in all of us. So you love that. That is love. It's not, you can't love every personality, because personalities are driven by, hate and wants and ignorance. They're not all nice or likable. So what I love is the truth and the light in that everyone is, that I am. And that is love. So, and then you can have specific relationships and friends, within that. But it's the same love. It's just a different form. Yeah. Yeah.
Just like Jesus said, that bum who is knocking on the door, that's me too.
Yeah.
That's also love. Maybe you have to look twice. But then people always come to me and tell me about those bombers in how do you call it? Those terrorists in Paris and all over the world, Manchester.
Yeah.
That's also love?
No, what they're doing is not love. Not at all. It's ignorant and it's ugly hatred. That you cannot pretend that is beautiful. Oh. But what they are in their essence is love, but they don't know it. Yeah. So you have to see the difference there. We shouldn't pretend that anything anyone does is wonderful. I mean, that's childish.
Yeah.
Ignorance is not fun. It's really terrible.
But I still cannot, when I tell people, I say I feel empathy also for, not only for the victims of something like that, but also the one who did it. And their families and their brothers and sisters.
They are in terrible suffering. They are living in hell. Absolutely.
Why would you otherwise come to that action? Yeah, that's total confusion.
So you also feel compassion for Trump?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
You see him suffering all day on television.
Yeah. Politicians suffer. Not just him, but everyone who believes in their
Yeah.
big self-image and is trying so hard to be something.
But what's the right way then to, let's say it's my father, who also believes that he's his story with a lot of things that went wrong in his life. What I asked you before the camera started, what's the right way to act with someone who believes his story very much, or her story?
What can you say? You love them. You maybe learn to say less. You learn that you cannot change them, so you treat them with kindness and respect and care, but you have to let them have their own process of suffering and discovery. And if it's maybe toxic for you to be around them, it's not feeling so great, maybe because they always complain or they always criticize you or something, then maybe you would spend less time with them as well. So that is also love too. That can help them, in fact, to face themselves.
Yeah, but you have to be sometimes very patient with.
Very patient. Yeah. Well, wisdom brings patience. So it takes a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah.
In this world.
Yeah. Because you want to say, "Oh, come on, stop the drama. You're being such a drama queen. Get over it. Look at what is going right in your life."
Well, at some point, maybe you say that and it works, or it sinks in to some extent, but maybe not. Who knows?
Yeah.
Sometimes you can be fierce and strong in saying something if you've really had enough. But who knows? Maybe you know that it's not worth it. I don't know.
Well, I stopped feeding the story of someone a long time ago, I guess, because I know, I can go with you and say, "Oh, that's very bad for you," but I cannot do it anymore. It's because I used to be the way around, that people fed my story. When someone broke up with me, I started phoning everybody and talking about it.
Yeah.
Instead of feeling what it did to me.
Yes. It's impersonal. The suffering that we go through is impersonal. It's something we're doing to ourselves, though not consciously. So it's kind of an impersonal energy or state that just has to have its way until something, the light starts to awaken. Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be by reading a Michael Damian book or watching Eckhart Tolle on DVD.
No, it can be anything. But if you have the book, why not read it?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Why is it called The Art of Freedom? Is freedom an art?
It's the art of discovering freedom. I like to call it an art because it's something subtle. It's something that has to do with beauty.
Mm-hmm.
For me, freedom is a major word because usually when you ask someone what they want, they don't say, "I want freedom." They say, "I want happiness. I want love. I want fun." But what we learn is that, it's my suffering that blocks me from that. Totally. So what I need first for the happiness is to get freedom from the suffering and to discover that I am free in my essence. And then all the happiness and love that you are and vitality comes in, blossoms.
Yeah.
And that's the art of it, and that's the beauty of it. So that title came to me. Yeah.
And did that change Michael Damian, the person? Did this body mechanism, whatever they call it, become a more lovable guy or a more loving guy? Or
yes, he did. Well, that first, it's not a he. It's not like the ego became more lovable.
Mm-hmm.
This is what the personality is, like a window through which the light comes.
Yeah.
So it's a window.
It gives it a taste.
Yes.
Or,
yes, a shade, a color.
Yeah.
So what happened was the personality that used to reflect more heaviness, more moods, more ignorance, distractions, confusion, that got cleaned. It got cleaned and cleared away to a great extent.
Yeah.
I mean, the shift was massive. So yes, the expressed personality is totally different. You know, things remain that are part of the personality that are they're just neutral. Whether I like coffee or tea or whatever, you know, those things stay.
But could you still rob a bank?
If I absolutely had to, I would.
Yeah.
No, why would I rob a bank,
Well,
by the way?
I just asked that because some people think there's such thing as enlightened behavior, that from now on you will never drive through a red light or whatever. Nothing bad is being done anymore.
Well, there is enlightened behavior. So the answer to that is no, I wouldn't rob a bank, or I would be much less likely to hurt someone or to lie or steal or cheat or... Yeah, that is because the morality it's a natural morality, because you realize that everything you would do to hurt another or cheat or steal would be because you're trying to get happiness from an object outside of you.
Yeah.
And once you realize that there's nothing out there that is going to complete me, and I'm fine as I am, and I have my balance of pleasure and pain, and that's fine, then why would I do that? Especially when I realize that everyone around me who I would do that to is my own essence, is not separate from me, is also a feeling, sensitive being. I don't know, you do become, your behavior does become more enlightened. That doesn't mean I couldn't be, you know, rude at some point, or grumpy. Well, I'm not that grumpy. I mean, no, that really changes.
Yes, even when you have 3 nights of bad sleep,
you get a little more grumpy or less cheerful. I mean, I do when I'm tired, but the bad moods gone. The real, you know, the up and down.
Yeah.
Certainly there are, you know, there can be wrong decisions at times, or mistakes made, misunderstandings that happen between people, but, you know, really you do become more kind and tolerant, and then, you know, the little foibles that happen in human life, you become more forgiving of them in yourself and in others. You know, it's not perfect. Yeah, it's not absolute perfection. You could never do something wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there is much more of a tendency toward the good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you didn't become a saint. No.
I still don't know what a saint is, but we'll see.
Yeah. But you could say the guy who is trying to rob a bank is also looking for this, just in the wrong place.
He's looking for security, happiness, peace.
Fulfillment.
When he gets that money, he feels he'll be at peace.
He'd be at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So we all have this urge to come home, but start looking in the world for it.
Yeah. Yeah, and fixating on the body and my body's survival and my body's desire for pleasure, which can never stay.
Yeah.
However many pleasures you've gotten, have they stayed?
No.
Or are they gone right now? No.
And that's the frustrating thing. And then Eckhart tells me in the interview, well, maybe that world is designed to frustrate you so much that you start looking inside.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's perfect. It's a perfect matrix that we're in to discover the truth. Yeah.
A final question. You just said the word choice. And that's something from the non-duality world which struck a lightning with me, and also gave me a lot of that people tell me, teachers tell me, that I never made a choice in my life. That it all just simply happened, and then my brain started saying afterwards, well, you did that good or you did that bad.
Your choices are an expression of your operating knowledge at the time, and the knowledge and conditioning that is in effect is dictating that. But the thing is, this is the key point here. So from that perspective, you didn't exactly have choices. Your knowledge, whatever was your conditioning and input, the knowledge was expressing itself as it must. But here's the key point where the question of choice is neither this nor that. You are behind all that knowledge. and conditioning. You are beyond that. Therefore, there is your free will, there is your freedom. That exerts that's where the absolute and the relative meet, and it exerts a hidden, it's like a black hole in the middle of the galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
That's where there is freedom. And from there, you choose. Because there is the divine will, which is your will, choosing, but without necessarily you thinking about it. Do you see that? It's absolute responsibility.
It just this is used as an instrument of choice, or it's again colored by this
Yes.
programming or whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
And that influences the choice. Because if I've been hurt by people who wear a yellow cap on their head for 5 times, and people want me to choose between the guy with the black hat and the yellow, I will choose the other guy because I had a bad experience with him.
This is how I would put it. You don't have the choice to change the nature of the karma that is already in effect, that is already there in your conditioning, that you are identified with, that you are acting out. You cannot change from within that. When you're stuck within that identity, the limited mind, then you have no real choice. You're just operating that out. And the karma, once it's out there and once it's coming back to you, you can't do anything about that. But where your freedom is there's a movement within you to realize your own nature. It feels like, oh, that might be my choice. It's actually the divine will that you are choosing for itself, which is its nature to do. So it's almost something beyond choice. It's in the nature of your being to awaken and express your freedom. Is that your, Patrick's, choice to awaken? Yes and no. It's simply your nature to awaken and to choose differently, as the Course in Miracles offers you to do. Choose differently once you realize there is something different to choose for, which is the truth. So, practically speaking, we say there is a higher level of choice for you, and on the lower level, there's no choice. You're living as a robot. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And the Course tells me I have only one choice. That's between love and fear.
Yes. Just one choice. Yeah, it's making a fundamental higher choice between true and false, love and fear. Yeah. Well, it was great talking to you. When people want to hear more of you, there's a great interview with you from a couple of years ago on YouTube with Buddha at the Gas Pump. Yes.
And the website is michaeldamian.org.
Yes.
O-R-G. Michael, thank you.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Sitting here in Belgium.
Yes.
With Guy Wouters.
Yes.
Or should I pronounce your first name as Guy? No.
In English speaking countries they say Guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Near in Belgium they say Guy. Yeah.
We talked once before in Dutch language.
Right.
About non-duality, Advaita, and your path. Yeah. For people from abroad who don't know you, can you tell us something about what you do and why you do it?
That's not an easy question, what I do, what I don't do. Certainly by moving to this new house, which is completely in the country, in the green, where we came from the city, it is a big question for me and my wife. So now we have what we wanted to have, living in the green. And then this morning we said, and what now? What will we do now?
Yeah.
And we didn't have an answer.
No.
And I always think, if you don't have an answer, sometimes that's good. Because then it comes from nowhere. Yeah.
Naturally.
Yes. We had some difficult days when we saw that we changed to a complete new environment. This day was a very difficult day. We went driving around a bit, and we saw a very nice church, and we went into the church, and we sat there. And then I realized that being in a church and praying and being in the presence of what I call God gives you a lot of courage. And God is for me putting things in a bigger picture. You see, God is not the God people think, the father with the white beard, but you put things in a bit wider context.
Mm-hmm.
Belgian churches, and they call it basilics, they have a very round
Roof.
a very round roof.
Mm-hmm.
So when you enter, you feel as you are in a kind of heaven.
Yeah.
You put it in a very big picture. And when I do this with my hands, I remember Douglas Harney,
Yeah.
who said, here you are space, here you are the world. But that's just the same when you enter in the church and you in the basilica and you think, I'm here in the presence with God. For me, that's the same.
Mm-hmm.
God or space or... So we said, now we are here, what are we going to do? And we said, we have to make reality ourselves. We also said, I thought, I want to put things now in a very large picture. In my first interview, I was more theoretically, and now I'm getting practically.
Mm-hmm.
More deeper in myself. It's difficult to explain because it's something you feel inside.
Yeah.
You feel that there is a bigger picture, much bigger than you are. It's the same thing Catholics or Protestants felt before when they went to church. God was very big, it was very more important than their ordinary life and their ordinary problems.
Yeah.
And I think in Advaita it's a bit the same. See? When I tell my wife I'm the space and in that space happens everything, she says, I don't believe that. What do I have with being in space when I don't get my laundry done? Huh?
Yeah.
And then I says, yeah, but doing your laundry also happened in the space. And she said, I can't do anything with those kind of theories because the laundry is still there, the ironing is still there. I think she's right. There are the two aspects,
Yeah.
not only one. Like I said in the first interview, and what Jan van den Hoover said, it is, we live in a dualistic world. And we talk a lot about non-dualistic world. But Jan says, we first have to emerge
Mm-hmm.
in the dualistic world, till we are almost
Fed up with it.
fed up with
Yeah.
it, and that we need a God, a bigger perspective, a space. Yeah.
So Guy, you've been working as a psychotherapist for
Yeah.
a lot of years.
Yeah.
What is the most hurt problem people come to you with?
Well, a lot of people come with problems like relation problems, sexual incest, depression, fear. But those are all problems who are lying on the surface. There is always something behind. And even if you go deeper and deeper, there always come the questions, who am I? What I'm doing here? Like we said this morning, my wife, and now we are here. And now? What are we going to do now? Who are we? Why are we here? I think those questions are the fundamental questions. And they are not easy to answer to my clients, because if you start talking about space, I'm the space, or I'm the ocean and the waves, and they can't imagine. It's too abstract. So what I try, mostly under the influence of other people like my wife, is to get it realistic, and not all those metaphors. The metaphors are nice, but to get Advaita very realistic and very usable for all kinds of people. That's a bit my goal, my aim. I think vulnerability. I don't know if you already listened to Brené Brown. Brené Brown, the power of vulnerability. You can see her on YouTube. I feel more and more vulnerable, and being aware of vulnerability and being available for all those feelings. That availability becomes an availability for everything. And with my children and my grandchildren, when I'm very critical, I'm in my ego, I'm in a tunnel vision, a real tunnel vision like that. I become aggressive, I become depressive, I become neurotic, till I can make a click here and see it in a wider space, and accepting who they are and what they are, and then everything changes. But it's not easy. Life is not easy. I think life is very difficult. And people say when I'm in the consciousness, everything gets easy. Well, I doubt.
Maybe that's a trap. When I first heard of Advaita, it looked to me like a cure for everything.
Yeah.
You think, now I found it.
Yeah.
Now I found a theory that's gonna get me rid of all problems, all the bad feelings, all negativity.
Yeah. Like it's an antivirus for the flu.
Yeah.
But still you get the flu.
Yeah.
It's a little bit less difficult to have a flu then, but still you get a flu. No, it's not a cure. It also is not a way to become happy. It's only a way to like Jeff Foster says, to get in total acceptance of everything what happens. And I can tell you that now, but that is my most difficult thing in life. To accept what's happening, what other people say. For me that's very difficult. I think that living the non-dualistic way is a thing you desire. And I think the desiring is the most important thing. Yeah. More than realizing. Sometimes masters say, I got realized. And I more like to desire.
And what is that you are desiring for? Total acceptance?
Yeah. Total acceptance, total... what does Jan van den Hoover says? Availability. Be available for everything. Being available for everything what happens. I struggle with it each day. But if you can see the struggle, you are already on the way.
In our Dutch interview you told us that you take medicine.
Yeah.
is that still so? Are you still on pills to reduce anxiety or to feel more relaxed?
I think I'm getting more relaxed. Less pills. For the rest of my life, I will be on one pill left, and that's okay for me.
Yeah.
Jan said to me, Guy, take that one pill and live your life, he said.
Yeah.
And look at the trees and the birds and take that one pill and say it's okay.
Yeah.
Accept also that.
And are you planning to give satsang also here in your new home, or maybe one-on-one talks? Or
On my website there is here a place for satsang. We can do it outside now. We can do it inside. I'll leave it up to who is coming and what is coming. And,
yeah. There's not that much going on in Belgium with Advaita meetings.
No.
Not the same as in Holland, right?
No.
How come?
I don't know.
Mm.
I think Flemish people are more practical, are more having difficulties in seeing abstract things. And also me, when I go to listen to a satsang, usually I leave earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
You cannot learn to drive a car just by hearing your teacher explaining how to drive a car.
Yeah.
You have to step into the car and drive.
Yeah.
And sometimes have an accident or a collision.
Yeah.
You have to step into real life.
So is that maybe the thing that a lot of Advaita fans do? They go from one satsang to the other, they read books, but they forget about living life to the fullest.
Yeah. And living life to the fullest is who will do the laundry today, who will cleaning the house today,
Yeah.
who will taking care of the dogs today, who will walk the dogs, and all those really things of life.
Mm-hmm.
And how you in that real life, how do you get non-dualistic by cleaning the house? How you can do it without getting enervated
Yeah.
or angry because you have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You just
Get behind the computer again.
Yeah. like an old Zen master said to his pupil. The pupil asked her, "Teacher, master, I have meditated for so many years, and I don't have enlightenment." And the master said, "Go and clean the kitchen." Yeah.
Is that what I mean by mindfulness? Doing things in the moment, no resistance.
Yeah, I think so. It's also one of my struggles. Yeah.
But what is it then? What comes up when you are cleaning the house or walking the dog? Is that not wanting to walk the dog?
Yeah.
And ever found an answer why?
Because I'm lazy. Because I'm lazy and I prefer to sit in my chair
Yeah.
and don't take any responsibility. Till I'm getting aware that I don't want to take responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Till I get aware that I'm lazy and that I can fully accept it, then I can walk the dogs. Then I think I'm on the non-dualistic way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But then I think, what's wrong with being lazy?
Right. Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't judge yourself on that.
No. But that doesn't mean that some other people need you to do things. Or you just have to clean the house because your wife is doing the laundry. Because she doesn't have to do everything on her own.
Mm-hmm.
So being lazy is okay, between brackets, you see?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a certain limit.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about silence.
And the dog starts barking.
And the dog starts barking, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think silence is more important than words. I've always dreamed to giving psychotherapy or counseling without any words.
Just being with someone.
Just being with one, completely silent. I would like to do that before I leave. Completely silent, just being there. Just being. No more words, no more satsang. No more satsang with words. I only read about Ramana Maharaji and I heard that he didn't say a lot. Afterwards they made movies, old movies, where they talked about him, but himself he didn't say a lot. And yeah, silence. I think there is more Advaita in silence than in words. Whether you sit in church or in a Buddhist temple and you sit in silence. Then you feel there is something bigger, something that can dragen,
Carry.
that can carry all your problems. Because when my wife and I were having problems and we keep talking about it, sometimes we get talking so much that we get in a drama,
Yeah.
in an ego drama.
Yeah.
So when we sit still, and then I have an American friend at Facebook, and we talk, we video chat,
Mm-hmm.
and he talked about gazing therapy. You know about gazing therapy?
Is that looking in each other's eyes?
Just looking into, not staring,
Mm-hmm.
but gazing. Just looking into the other one's eyes with a sort of loving kindness. And that's beautiful for me. That's Advaita for me.
It sounds very intimate.
Very intimate
Yeah.
and a lot of love. If there would be no love in Advaita, I wouldn't care about it. If there is no love in Zen, I wouldn't care about it. And that's something what I find in Christian mysticism, like St. John of the Cross and Teresa from Avila. They had a lot of love in them. That's sometimes what I'm missing in the other religions.
So is the search for truth the search for love?
Yeah. Not so much the search for love. First of all, feeling the love in yourself, and then by gazing to the other one, or just by being present to the other one, you interchange love, and there you solve more problems than with words. I think it's all about love.
Shall we give the dog some love and then start the...
Yeah, let's give the dog some love. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Stop.
So, what is love to you, that four-letter word everyone talks about?
It's inside. Love is not so much between you and me. Love is first of all inside me. Love is a feeling of softening, soothing. Personal interaction is another kind of love. It's love with a small L. I'm talking of with a large L. It's more important for me than Advaita or Zen, or I like it. Or I don't read it anymore about Advaita or the theories are fading away. It's becoming silence, love and silence. It's a deepening in my life, becoming more soft. It's about my heart.
And has that something to do with age? You hear sometimes that the older people get, the more vulnerable people get, and the more silent people get.
Well, I think it's the way with me. I think it's not always like that, because there are also older people who are getting more harder and frustrated.
Yeah.
There are two ways older people can go: becoming harder, frustrated, angry, afraid, and other ones are becoming softer. And I hope I'm one of those who is getting softer. I think so.
But do you cry a lot, or do you get?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm an emotional guy.
Always been, or now more?
More, yeah.
Yeah.
One of my family members said to me that I'm getting emotional incontinent. Not so fine to say, but yeah, you cry more, and it's not a crying of sentimental things. There is a crazy example, like André Hazes, well known in the Holland, but perhaps not so known in the English countries, but not so much his music and his songs, but I saw a DVD of his life, how difficult his life was with his alcoholic problem. Yeah. And then it makes me cry when somebody is having a very difficult life. And he's looking for love. André, I think, when I can't say, was looking for love. And yeah, I'm getting more emotional with the day. It's okay, because I'm melting.
Yeah.
Before I was very hard, strong, I knew everything. And now I don't know so much anymore. Perhaps I don't know anything anymore. At last you are breathing and smiling and crying and cleaning the house. That's it.
Yeah, that's special enough.
That's special enough?
Yeah.
What do you need more in life?
Yeah, well, we think there's something special out there to get and to achieve, enlightenment, knowledge. Yeah. I'm interested, Guy, how does that change your work as a psychotherapist? Because I heard that, and I experienced with some psychotherapists, that they still keep kind of distance to the patient they have, they don't get involved emotionally. Can you still do that?
No, of course I can't do that anymore. That's what you learn at university. Keep a distance,
Yeah.
be clinical, be ahead of the client. I can't do that anymore. Sometimes I take a client in my arms. And then other psychologists will say he does that because he needs love himself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's true. But the other one also needs love.
It works both ways. Yeah.
And when I always almost say love therapy, but that's very difficult, dangerous to say.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have love therapy, then I see clients and patients changing. More changing than having a year on therapy with words and methods and protocols. But when the client feels you really care about him or her, I think then he or her changes, really changes.
Yeah. It's the same, I don't know if I talked about it with you in the Dutch interview, but in Africa, when someone is depressed, they throw a party for him, they cuddle him all day, they make great food for him, they sing for him, they dance for him, they give him love.
Yeah, they give him love, yeah.
And he cures.
Yeah. And what do we hear?
Pills.
Yeah. Pills and clinical therapy.
Yeah.
Behavior therapy, cognitive therapy. You know that giving a hug to a client is becoming very dangerous.
You can get
Yeah, you can get
reprimand or...
yeah, certainly. Because the other one said he touched me or... Yeah. No. I cannot give any more psychotherapy
in the old way.
in the old way.
No.
That's not possible anymore. And if somebody would like to have that here, I would say no, go somewhere else. Yeah. In fact, I'm not a psychotherapist anymore. No. I don't know if you know Thomas Merton, the monk, the Trappist monk who was a playboy, lived in the south of France and then became a monk in the United States. And he said that God said to him, metaphorically, you don't want to carry any title anymore, mystic or psychotherapist, and sometimes I use it on my websites, in my automatic answering mails, because people always ask, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Are you a psychotherapist or a counselor? And then people need that you give an answer. But for myself, I don't want to have a title anymore. Yeah.
Because it limits you, or
It limits you. It gets me more like that.
mm-hmm.
This is feels like a better interview than the first one. Because now I feel more. I'm more present. The first interview I was more there, and now I'm more here.
Yeah. People can see the difference
Yeah.
and feel the difference. When you open your website, you hear a song, a very uplifting song.
Yeah.
What song is it again?
My webmaster put it in. No mountain is high enough.
Yeah.
And they also we see the picture with me and with my wife and me. No mountain is high enough. People say that in their lives there are so many mountains they cannot get over them. But you can't get over them. The only problem is that when you get to a mountain, you stay at the top. It's descending, like they say in Zen with the guy who is watching the cows or don't know which animals at the end of his life is just walking at the market and selling wine. That's like Siddhartha in Hermann Hesse.
Mm-hmm.
He looks for everything, religion, buying, selling, and at the end he becomes a ferryman. So at the end, you don't become enlightened. You just walk the dogs, do the cleaning, but you do it in another way.
Yeah, with equality.
With equality, exactly. With the mindfulness, yeah, with love.
Yeah.
My dogs feel. You saw when I cuddled the big one, then he put his head down. He becomes quiet.
Yeah.
Dogs, animals feel that very well. Sometimes people are afraid of it. When I have too much love in myself and I be very loving kindness to other people, some things they get aggressive because they don't know it anymore. You know, there is so much aggression and individualism. And when somebody is loving, then they get afraid. My dogs do that. They like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, to come to a conclusion, it's all about love for me. And when love is not the result, then it doesn't, I have no need for it.
No. One more question I want to ask you, Guy, about the childhood. There's a lot of documentaries on TV lately in Dutch about the importance of how we bring up our children and all the conflicts we see in the world right now, that it's part of the wrong upbringing of a child. What is the right way to send a child into the world? Have you found an answer to that?
Yeah, attention. To giving attention, is that the right word?
Mm-hmm.
To give attention.
Yeah.
Don't leave the child just walking around while you are working, or when you are coming home at 6, 7 o'clock, and when it has to go to bed and look at his laptop or the Pokemon thing, or give it attention. Give it a love of attention. Don't give it an iPhone. I do it myself. But don't give it an iPhone. Don't give it a MacBook Air. Give it attention. Look it in the eyes. Look at your children. When you look a child in their eyes, the child's become aware he has a right to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And when he has the right to be there as a child, he will be another adult. An adult which has the right to be there. I think when you are an adult who doesn't have the right to be there, there is a big chance you become aggressive.
Why is that?
I think there is a big paradox. When I don't have the right to be there, when nobody loves me, when nobody sees me, I have to kill another one. I have to kill another one to feel that I'm alive. That's a very, perhaps, that's my personal
vision.
Yes. I kill you because I have to feel alive. I kill you to feel something. Because otherwise I don't feel anything. And then I'm a living dead. You know, I don't believe in terrorism. No. Terrorism is a thing I think which is made by the media. I believe in sick people. Very psychic sick people. And how we treat them or how we don't treat them. How we give them so many pills and they don't get better. Because we know on the beforehand that the pills don't work. But we still give them pills. They get in a psychotic situation, and they do very strange things then. And you see that at the latest terrorist attack, even the media say the murderer wasn't connected to a terrorist organization, but he had psychic problems.
Yeah, he was depressed. It was
Well, more and more you hear that now.
Yeah.
More and more you hear that, and I think that's the truth behind. We have to look at what's behind. Yeah, what is the real reason?
Yeah.
Yeah, why do they do that? Yeah.
So it's all just a big shout out for attention, for help.
Yeah.
Please give me love.
Yeah, and please see me,
Yeah.
hear me. Acknowledge that I'm a person. Will be people who wouldn't like what I say now. Most people say when cut his head off or send him to prison for the rest of his life or death sentence or so. But that will not help because 20 terrorists went to prison here in Belgium, and 2 days later there are 5 others.
Yeah.
So I don't say you don't have to put him in prison, but that's not really the
Cure.
That's not really the
No.
cure. No. You have to look deeper.
So the very loving thing to say, because it's very, very ego-minded to say, well, just kill all the terrorists and then peace is back again. But
well, that's something which I remembered from my Buddhist period, being a bodhisattva. The promise that I will save everyone on this earth, which Tom Latauer said is a promise nobody can keep. It's impossible. And Tom says, and still, it's my desire. I believe in what is not possible. That I have from Tom Latauer. Yeah.
so when people want to get in touch with you, Guy, what is the fastest way? Facebook or your website? Is there anything in English we can read? Or
Yes. Both websites are now translated in English.
Okay.
There is a website which is called guywouters.be, which is about my psychotherapeutic practice. And the latest version really goes about what I'm telling now. And the other website is called Spirituele Ondersteuning. How to translate in English, spiritual support. Supporting people. If I can, I try. And all that site is also translated in English.
Yeah.
And it starts with, for me, the most important video I ever heard also. Who am I really? Who am I really? That's the modern question. Who am I?
And that's by Ramana or?
I think that's Muchi or I'm not. No, it's a woman. Who am I? And there doesn't come an answer. And just because there doesn't come an answer, that's who I am. If there would come an answer, that would not be me.
Yeah.
It's a mystery. For me, life is a mystery. Leave it a mystery. Don't go and solve it. Don't look for solutions. Don't try to explain it. Don't call it names. It's a mystery which we cannot understand. That's my vision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for this nice, quiet talk.
Yeah.
one more practical thing for people who live in the south of the Netherlands or the south of Belgium.
Yeah.
That's where you are situated, near Hasselt.
Near Hasselt. So a big part of Limburg, also Dutch Limburg,
Yeah.
Flemish Limburg. I don't do any talks in French, but people are welcome, but they may expect too many words from me and too many talks, but more sitting into being and gazing.
Yeah.
It's a new thing what I discovered, the gazing theory, and I really like it.
But you just said it's not the same as staring. What's the difference between gazing and staring?
Oh, so that's staring is a little bit dominant, a little bit
Aggressive.
a
Almost.
little bit aggressive.
Yeah.
You are going to do what I say. You are going to understand me, and if you don't understand me, you're a fool. And gazing is loving.
Yeah. It's all equal. No dominance or no. Yeah.
No.
I can understand. Oh, we'll look up gazing therapy. So that's maybe something you're gonna do with your clients.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Finally, there I realized my dream of giving therapy or counseling with not so many words anymore.
Yeah.
And perhaps I will have just one client a week, and that's okay for
Yeah. Because you're almost retired, or
me. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
enjoying the countryside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what I want to do, the loving and giving attention, be kind, I can do that in the village too, and in the street and in the market. I don't need clients for that.
No. And that's something we can all maybe can do.
Yeah, yeah. And I most of therapists ask 60 euros or 70 euros. I'm asking now 35 euros. And that will be just for a small period. And then I will work for free. But that's very dangerous, you know, because when you work for free, they say he's not worth a lot. Yeah, people want to pay money, and a lot of money. He's a good doctor or he's a good psychiatrist when he asks 100 euros. But when he works for free, it's an amateur. So ask 5 euros, I think. Yeah. You can't, if you work with your heart, how can you ask for money? It's almost contradicting.
Yeah.
If you would ask me money for this interview, that wouldn't be possible. It wouldn't work.
No.
Okay.
Thanks again, Guy.
Yeah.
And for people who are interested, there's also another interview with you on the website,
Yeah.
nondualisme.nl, and that's a talk in Dutch. And
Yeah.
we'll put your websites underneath the movie.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And let's have some more coffee.
Let's have more coffee. Thank you. Yeah.
Sitting here with Hans Laurentius, my dear friend. We talked to each other a couple of times in Dutch.
Yeah.
And now for the first time in English.
Mm-hmm.
You give meetings.
Yeah.
And you talk to people one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
They're sitting in the same couch I'm sitting right now.
Right.
And I see tissues here. Is this subject people, or the subjects people bring into this room, are they so loaded with things that make them cry?
Sometimes. Or they have a cold.
That can be also, yeah.
But sometimes emotional issues arise, and Well, tears cannot be avoided always, so
But you're no therapist.
no. But still, I sometimes confront people with issues or things, and that may hit, so
Yeah.
and people start to cry, or something releases and it gives a few tears. It's not that they're crying all the time, mostly not, but it happens sometimes. So
Yeah. And can you tell me why is it that when you touch something inside me that I haven't felt for a long time,
mhm.
that it automatically brings up a big emotional response?
Well, exactly like you said, because it's repressed for a long time, and basically everything seeks release, so it wants to be liberated.
Mm-hmm.
So it comes up, and usually we hold it back. But if you don't, it just releases itself, and it can bring tears or laughter or anger or silence.
Yeah. And how come we hold so much back?
We're afraid to feel everything. So as a child we learned to repress certain feelings because it's too overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
And for a kid that's 4 years old, you can understand that when parents have a row, for instance, or somebody is drunk or whatever, it's very scary for the kid. It can't handle it. So there's a sort of emotional decision not to feel everything completely. And afterwards, when you're 30 or 40, you have really learned not to feel things properly.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an automatic system, a conditioning to hold it back, and the show must go on, and don't show your weakness, and because having emotions is considered weakness.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, it's
Mm-hmm.
just energy moving. And so we move along and withholding, repressing, and well, at some point it will burst. And it can be in a private session, but it can happen anywhere.
Mm-hmm. And is there a certain age until when that repressing no longer works, or is it different?
No, some people live to be 100 and are masters in repression. So, and some people usually get into a sort of a crisis, and then they cannot repress it anymore, and then a change may occur, or not.
May.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Because when I start feeling again all these emotions, I could grab a bottle of beer.
Yeah.
Or wine.
Yeah, sure. Or run to a psychologist or a psychiatrist, and if you're unlucky, he will give you some pills, which will repress.
Yeah.
And in some cases, obviously, it's necessary, because if somebody's really exploding and getting psychotic or suicidal, something needs to happen, obviously. But usually, it's more helpful to teach people how to feel and observe. Then there is a change possible towards a more adult behavior or even awakening.
Yeah.
But it's only for some, so I get it that people grab onto something or some therapy which calms it down again, or start to meditate to be calm again, instead of allowing things to release themselves.
Yeah. And are these only things from my childhood, or also from, let's say, 2 years ago when my girlfriend broke up?
Sure.
And I didn't feel it at the time?
Everything that you didn't completely feel and didn't completely face.
But how do I know that I didn't completely feel or face?
You will notice when something similar happens.
Ah.
So if you have 2 breakups in the past and another one is pending,
Mm-hmm.
you will start to feel very anxious and uncertain, and will observe all kinds of unnatural behavior to avoid the repetition of that situation.
Yeah.
So you may start to please more or be aggressive. Depends on
Mm-hmm.
how your programming is.
Yeah.
And that's usually all kinds of old stuff mixing with the new stuff. But it's kind of similar, so you get a response based on the avoidance.
Yeah. So we start pleasing one another. We have to save this relationship.
Yeah, sure.
Not because that I love that girl or woman or man, but because I don't want to feel
Yes.
past breakups.
Yes, exactly. The terror is too big. You have the conviction that you cannot handle it, that you will go insane or die or something dramatic.
That's never the case.
It could be, but usually no.
No.
I sat with people feeling through quite intense stuff and they didn't go mad and they didn't die. And if they experience that a couple of times, they get a new faith in their own system. They start to learn, hey, I believe that I cannot handle it, but the actuality teaches me that I can.
Yeah.
And then slowly it sinks in that it's more productive to sit with a strong feeling or walk with it and be with it, meet it, than to avoid it or start drinking or
Eating,
whatever.
Yeah. So it's about the fear of feeling.
Yes, it's very important.
Okay, so if I understand you right, and we got that fear in childhood because we couldn't feel everything at that moment.
Yeah. We were unable.
Our system wasn't ready.
Yeah, the brain wasn't ready yet.
Yeah. And from what age is the brain ready? When you're fully grown, or 14, or can you say something about that?
It depends. Usually people tell me that at like 20, 22, the brain is completely equipped. But it all depends on circumstances. When you have the luck to grow up with really adults, they will probably teach you by words or experience that it's okay to feel sad, and they won't give you a cookie or a toy or tell you to shut up, or they will invite you to meet the feeling. Well, those kind of kids will probably have less resistance. Other kids who are constantly told shut the fuck up or are distracted all the time, kid is sad, put on the TV, give it a lollipop, they will never learn that it's better to meet. So it depends on the people around you too.
Yeah. I come from a Catholic family where everything was put under the carpet.
Yeah.
And when someone was really angry or sad or crying, shh, don't let the neighbors hear it.
Well, there you go.
That could
Repression.
be a condition also.
Yes, sure, that helps. Of course, the adults teach you to keep it in.
Yeah.
To not show, to not talk about it, to not...
Be a man.
Be a man, don't cry. Boys don't cry.
The cure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it for men? Do you meet more men who have difficulty with expressing their feelings or feeling their feelings than women?
Yeah, it's a good distinction because it's basically about feeling the feelings,
not
not
expressing.
talking about it all the time.
Yeah.
Which is a bore. People talking about their feelings all the time. Come on, you know.
And it's also postponing the feeling. Talking about the feelings is...
The funny thing is, when you really learn to feel through intense emotions, there will be hardly any need to talk about it, because when it's felt through, it's gone.
Yeah.
So it's hard to talk about something that is not there.
Yeah.
So all the talking about it, it's a little bit better than repressing it, because at least it moves a little, but it's not the end.
Yeah.
It's just helping it to move, but still we're not really feeling. And a lot of the talking will be about, why does this occur? Oh, poor me. Don't you think I'm pitiful? Or you gotta help me. You know, so it's still all in the ego domain. While feeling through is in essence an activity or a natural movement of consciousness. Consciousness meets everything immediately. It has no fear. It tends to move towards suffering instead of away from it. So in the natural state, what would I have to talk about emotionally? When it arises, it is seen and felt, and afterwards it will dissolve. There's hardly anything to talk about.
Yeah. So what we really are doesn't say no to...
No, it doesn't know no.
It doesn't
It
know
doesn't
no.
no. It doesn't react anything.
Reject, yeah.
Yeah.
What does reject?
It's the fear system. So ego is a movement of fear.
Mhm.
So the things we hear in our head, don't go there, don't feel this, or you'll go insane.
Yeah.
It's basically fear using words. And it's what we call thinking, but it's not thinking. It's fear talking. And we associate or identify with the fear talker.
Yeah.
That's what we call the false self or the ego.
Yeah.
It's always fear. Consciousness knows no fear. It meets everything. It's like this space, this room.
Mhm.
We're totally welcome here. And we can dance or have a conversation
Or a fight.
a fight. It's all cool.
Yeah. But there's something inside us, you call it the fear talker, that's a great statement, great name, that tries to avoid pain,
Yeah.
and does it also seek pleasure
Yes, sure it does.
as a substitute or something
Yes.
to look at?
Yeah, to compensate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
no, I don't want this. Give me a happy movie.
Mm-hmm.
I can name, for example, when I'm at somebody's home and they have music on who is very melancholic, music that, is a little bit depressing.
Mm-hmm.
I always say, oh man, please put on something happy.
Uh-huh.
Is that my
It could be.
fear
It
system?
could be a little bit of the fear that you don't want to feel your inner sadness.
Yeah,
So keep it happy, keep it, let's say, superficial.
yeah,
On the other hand, we can also have another movement that people tend to, no, let's make it more personal. I used to be depressed when I was a teenager. And sometimes the depressive feeling would tend to dissolve.
Mhm.
And what did I do? Smoke another joint, put on some depressing music,
Yeah.
so I went back into it. I was kind of addicted of feeling down. And a lot of people are very comfortable in a strange way with feeling not happy,
yeah,
because that's what they know. So a lot of people that I meet here as well, and we have a talk, they open up and they feel the natural state, which is relaxed and open and comfortable, not really bliss, not an ecstatic thing, but it's really good and quiet and complete. Within 5 or 10 minutes, thoughts will come up to try to fuck it up. Because they don't know how to be open and good.
yeah,
They don't know how to be happy for longer than, let's say, 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Then there's some restlessness. If there's not a problem, who am I?
yeah. Osho gave a great talk about that, the attachment to misery.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. It's a strange phenomenon, but if you're starting to be aware of that, then you have a chance.
but does that attachment to misery gives us a sense of self?
Yes, exactly.
Me, the one who always gets the blame. Me,
Yeah.
who always
Mhm.
gets the bad stuff in his life.
Yes. Then you're somebody, something. You could even say that without a core of misery, who are you then?
Mm.
If there's no problem to be solved, if there's no
Drama.
drama, who am I without my problems?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, that happened because my sister or my father
Mhm.
or my mother was
Yeah.
absent, or
Yeah,
that defines me.
yeah,
No, it doesn't, but we believe it does.
yeah. For example, my father has the same thing. I also have tinnitus in his ear,
Mm.
and he got it about 2 years ago.